me.
Money, money, money. Money, money, money. We got that fly Nubian money. We talk about that money. We all about that money. Money, 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 money. We got that fly Nubian money. We talk about that money. We all about that money. We love our black skin, our melanin, always focusing in on that money. We always win, money never thin, 'cause we hustling, always focusing in money, 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 money. We got that money, 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 money. We that fly Nubian money, boss talk only, we stack it up.
Hey, happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood. I am the proud producer of this show. And today we want to have a conversation that I thought was interesting, right? We're talking about technology. I came across an article that basically said that Elon Musk is suing for the right to discriminate against Black people. Huh? What does that mean exactly? So today we're going to talk about the new law that requires AI to systems to use to excuse me. There are new laws that require AI systems used in jobs, housing, and healthcare to be fair. That means these systems are not supposed to discriminate against people who are making decisions that impact their lives. Elon Musk is pushing back against that law, arguing that forcing AI to be fair violates his First Amendment right. Let's let that sit for a second, right? We are now in a moment where people, it's not really just about like technology and we're wondering like who actually controls this technology, who benefits from it, and who gets to, and who gets left out. And I think ultimately, does the Black community get left out? So that's the conversation. Is there a gatekeeper to AI? Is the, like who is Elon Musk to say this? So I want to have all these conversations. I want to talk about this today, but of course I can't have that conversation by myself. I am joined by the flyest, most amazingest women on the planet, my queens. I am joined by Marlo Layson, my good homegirl, a TV and film producer and journalist. And I'm also joined by Debra Will Win. Debra Will Win on YouTube, but also like just a fan of the show and just our good girlfriend. All right, so let's talk about it, Queens. I want to know, what were your initial thoughts when you just heard the headline? Hey, Elon Musk is suing for the right to discriminate against Black people. What did that make you think? I'll go to you, Debra, first. What did you think?
Who in the heck does he think he is? Like, what? Like, you just became a citizen a second ago. Now you can change our laws and then come against us? Are you kidding me? I was very upset about this. And I am like going down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole today. Like, what? Are you serious? Like, the revolution has to be televised.
Okay.
This is crazy. This is crazy.
Okay. All right. So, Marlo, what were your thoughts?
I was not surprised. Elon Musk he is a son of South African apartheid. Like this man, I don't care how many rappers he hang out with. I understand innately what his feelings are. And he did that little salute that time and said it was a high five or something. So I don't know. It didn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just feel like from what I've seen, I've never seen Elon on the right side of history. When he didn't talk as much, I think we thought, hey, there's this brilliant man who is forward thinking and creating things to help mankind and the world. And then we actually got to meet him. And then he actually started talking. And it was like, oh, wait, what? And then on top of that, just the way his whole positioning, obviously he grew up, when I got to really like look at who Elon Musk was, like you said, Marlo, a son of apartheid, right in the middle of it, father was a racist, all the things like, but I think it's so interesting because, here's a man who kind of tried to, I feel like he tries to flip or gaslight, right? In a sense where, he says that this is discrimination against his rights, right? So it's flipped, it's reverse racism. And I've noticed that happening a lot. Things that are put in place because of systemic racism and just racism in general, all the things that have been proven and the facts. Black people have been um, have been discriminated against for just very different things. And now people are coming to the forefront, other white people, and saying this is not fair. This why am I not able to go to an HBCU? Why can I not discriminate against black people? Marlo, what do you think of that? Like that reverse Uno kind of thing that's happening. I'm seeing
I
more.
hate, I hate it, but black people have like allowed it to even exist. I stop it at the door. Ain't no such thing as reverse because racism is about power. You talking about bigotry or you talking about prejudice? Yes, that could go both ways. You could feel a certain type of way about a person based off previous experience, whatever. But racism is a construct of power that was created by Europeans. It ain't like everybody in the whole wide world got together and created this. They created this in collaboration with the church so that they could justify going all over the world, like plundering and stealing. So it's there are no two sides, right?
Mhm.
There is only one side. And I think that black people, especially as black people and Latino people, Asian people ascend to wealth, right? As we ascend in the socioeconomic ladder, we oftentimes want to write it off and we want to, see both sides. And sometimes there's just one side, and we got to be okay with there's just the side of right that you should be on. And a lot of times we don't want to do that. But there are no two sides. Racism is a top down structure of power. Prejudice and bigotry are about hate thy neighbor because I don't like how that neighbor looks. So I think if we get that straight, but also we let the creators of racism define what racism is. So now even in our legal structure, you can't say it was racism in a lot of cases unless they say the N word. They got to call you out your name, they got to drag you from a truck. That is the proof of racism, not the structural, systemic things. They don't want you to be able to prove that that is racist, but that's what it is. And a lot of times, like I said, we play into it. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting because that makes me think about, now we have AI, right? Which AI has existed, but now we have this explosive use of AI that we have access to, that now is learning these structures, right? So it's not even about at this point, like, how can AI be racist, right? Because of who's feeding the AI, who's teaching the AI. We're also teaching the AI, right? So, Deborah, what do you think about that? Like, just the idea that now companies are using AI, and it is, keeping certain people out. It is filtering through people. It's not giving certain people opportunities. That is a fact of what's happening.
In this case, I feel like AI is becoming our judge and jury now. It's going to be depicting, like you said, who gets, in colleges, who gets jobs. We were already concerned about the AI reading our resumes. And
Mm-hmm.
now, along with visual, now they can actually pick you out, point you out, put a name to a face, and they could put you in places that you never thought you would be in criminally, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things that we, have to look at. And when I think about Elon and his racism, what I do know is that it seems like it doesn't matter what country you come from. If you're a racist like all together. Y'all in all one group. Y'all join up together, y'all be together. And it's astonishing. You could come from another country and come to America and still continue your racist fight against us. And
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, right. Like people can come up, and I think it's learned, right? Obviously, America teaches racism. That's what we gonna do. We gonna teach separation and division. That's what we gonna do in America. And so it's so interesting. Even when you meet Africans who come into America or Asians, I was the young lady that does my eyebrows. Like she is from Lebanon. Her and I were having a conversation, and she was like, "Yeah, I mean, before I got here, they told me like my family was like, don't hang around black people. They're all dangerous. They'll all kill you. Da 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 da. Right?" And so she was like, that you guys have been the least of my problems. I mean, yeah, I've met some black people that have been, whatever, right? In her words, she didn't say ghetto, but I'm saying ghetto, right? But there has been white people that have been ghetto too, and others that have shown their behinds in a way that have been. She was like, so black people have been actually really cool, really welcoming. I said, listen, we are never the problem, but that is the thing. Once we can have conversations, but that is the perception of what black people are. Either we rappers, I went to another country. They was like, "Do you know 50 Cent?" I was like, "I met him before, but now I don't know 50 Cent. That's not my people." But like but the perception of who we are as African Americans when people get here is just this. There's this narrative. There's this story that our country has unfortunately painted. And so there's that. So let's start with this first. Let's just hear all the details of what happened and what Elon is doing. Let's set the foundation for this conversation.
Elon Musk is spreading a very specific kind of racism on the internet right now.
Elon started retweeting some of the most prominent race scientists.
Wait a minute. That's not what I want to show y'all first. That's not it. But I do want to show y'all that I want to take it a step further in a second, right? Let's not go there first. Let's just do the foundational. Okay. All right. That's what we
Company
gonna do.
just sued the state of Colorado because the state of Colorado told him to prove that his AI doesn't discriminate. If you've ever been denied a job, healthcare, or housing, you want to listen to this because AI algorithms are making poor decisions on behalf of Black and brown people, and this lawsuit could have national implications. For example, a company, SafeRent, used an algorithm to score renters, and Black and brown applicants were disproportionately rejected. They settled over a $2 million lawsuit. The algorithm never had to prove it was fair before it deployed. A University of Washington study gave 3 AI models 3 identical resumes. White associated names were preferred 85% of the time. Black associated names were preferred 9%. And we wonder why Black women, Black people have been struggling to get employment. A clinical algorithm used by hospitals required Black people to be significantly sicker than their white counterparts in order to receive the same level of care. Because Black patients historically spend less on healthcare due to systemic racism, AI learned to value their healthcare less. This is why the Colorado law matters. Because Colorado said if AI is making decisions about people's livelihood, it has to show its work first. So why would Elon Musk and his company XAI and Grok think that that's a bad idea? Who is the algorithm really protecting?
Right. So Marlo, I want to hear what your thoughts are. Who is the AI really protecting?
The AI is protecting the structure, the globalist structure of the world. Is protecting the people that already have access and is gatekeeping to make sure that other people are constantly left out of the equation. And part of it is obviously part of it is intentional, right? They aren't saying to the programmers, hey, we need to make variances for A, B, and C because the knowledge that we're transferring excludes them. No, they are just transferring the knowledge that is already there without any sort of rule that says include this because they don't want to. They don't have a problem with the status quo. They just want to move from industrialism to technocracy, right? That's all they want. This is not, nobody is trying to save the world. Maybe in the beginning, these things have like a benevolent good to them. But once you start getting $100 billion valuation or whatever crazy money that these platforms are worth, All of that stuff goes out the window because the people that are there to sign those checks, they lost benevolence a long time ago, most of them. So this is really about maintaining the structure that works for the people that already have it. And as as we are users of I want us to be very conscious and aware of what we are teaching, right? As we post on social media, yeah, it's haha for clicks and giggles, but they are reading that. So when you think about people being getting black people getting a 9% score for whatever rentability or whatever she said, when you look at that and you think about all the jokes online about ain't paying my rent this week, I gotta go to see this concert or whatever, like, and it is jokes and we understand it to be jokes. The AI is not nuanced and it doesn't understand. So as much as they are allowing it to only ingest the racist lifespan of this country, we are reinforcing the racism through our, need to just get on the internet and act up. It's us, but maybe we should get back to closed doors with some of our joking and some of the way that we play. Maybe it's not for this time, especially as we see this man. It's like, look, I ain't gotta tell it that people were excluded or that certain people are disenfranchised in what you're teaching the learning model. I don't have to do that. He doesn't want to. So if he doesn't want to, we certainly don't need to do our part in reinforcing it as it's constantly trying to affirm what it is learning.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? Dennis Spraggin says the bias is implicated by the programmers. And I think that's so interesting because if it is, does that mean that more Black people need to be in this space to teach it the valuable lessons of who Black people are? As my Texas, I'm coming to you, Deborah. But it also, I never even considered, Marlo, what you're saying. You're saying we put jokes, we keep key in there because Black people can't take nothing serious. And that's what I love about us, actually. Like that we are uh, a very lighthearted people because we've had a really hard time. So I think the emotional and intellectual intelligence is like how we're able to actually take that pain and make it into something that's like soft and funny is really a sign of how brilliant we are. But Deborah, Dennis Spraggin says the bias is implicated by programmers. Do you believe that?
Most definitely, I believe it. I remember one time listening to Bishop T.D. Jakes, and he had mentioned about the facial recognition that Apple has on their phone, and it didn't recognize him. And guess what? Because it wasn't supposed to recognize him because they didn't program it to recognize him as a black man. So
Mm,
yes, it is very important that we get in these spaces, and that is one reason why I'm definitely in this space because our voice needs to be heard. Our faces need to be able to be digitally recognized. They programmed it a lot for Caucasian, Asian people, not really for Black people. So now, they're up on the technology more. Even when you look at emojis, for a long time, the emojis we weren't represented in the emoji space, and now you see more Black
sure.
emojis.
Mm-hmm.
And even Samsung, I'm a Samsung person, and I make every one of my characters Black. I change them. So I'm choosing Black. And it's important. It's important that we just not use technology to doom surf. We need to learn about it. We need to be about it. It needs to be in our DNA because it's going to get far away from us and we're going to have to catch up and we shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah. Marlo, what does AI fairness even look like? Like, what is that? And I want to know before you answer that question. I do want to make sure that we are um, including, our audience, the wonderful people that are here. I want to know in the chat, like, have you experienced discrimination, and when it comes to AI in any way, shape, or form? And how do you even know that? First of all, how do you know that you're being discriminated against if you're being denied of something or something like that? But also, have you been discriminated against? And what do you think? Is it how can we, I want to know from the chat, how you kind of like navigate that. Marlo, back to you. Like I was about to ask you, actually, how do you think that how can we measure fairness, and how can AI be fair?
I think that the way that you measure fairness is how large of a sample size they have for anything. So let's take the facial recognition, for example. If the only people who participate in the facial recognition are 15 similarly hued people, right? 15 people with similar facial bone structures, then that's not enough people because we know that there are so many different types of people. So part of AI fairness should be them recruiting a sample size of real humans to come in so that they can see body type, height. You know, this facial recognition software is very, very janky. And I understand a lot of people don't want to put themselves into the database, but surprise, you're already there. What would be fair would be to allow people to submit scans of their faces or allow them to go into a place and submit a scan of their face so that you don't get hacked up. Because I've seen people get arrested and the AI scan of the face nowhere near alike, right? So then a person, AI fairness means a person before an arrest is made or a warrant or whatever happens to get the wrong person arrested, a human needs to analyze those two images and reasonably determine if that is the same person. So some of this is we relying way too much on the machines. The machine should never be the final decision maker in any of this. And I think that that's what AI fairness is. It's more human oversight for these machines. How could the machine ever be? The machine is 20 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, right?
Yeah.
How could it ever be the deciding factor in who goes to jail or who gets a job or whether or not a child or a black man gets hit by an autonomous vehicle because children and black people have been hit more frequently by self-driving vehicles. So it really is common sense, but we don't want to regulate these tech companies because of the amount of valuation and power that they have. So who gonna tell them to do the right thing?
That's such a good question, because that leads me into my next question: government oversight. Do we feel like the government should, of all entities that get to kind of govern this situation, should there be government oversight, or does that create more problems because so much money is involved? Deborah, what do you think about that?
First of all, in our government, in these laws that we vote on, we don't know in law within a law. A lot of times we have given over our rights, even when it comes to surveillance. When they say, "Oh, we're going to put up the cameras," the red light cameras. Well, inside the red light camera law is also the facial recognition law. But we are just voting, oh yeah, red light camera laws, those are great, not knowing that there's another law on the back end of that law. So we vote for those things, not knowing that we just giving over our civil rights when we do that. And then another thing with our government, first of all, their system needs to be overhauled. And it's not. It's not. It's still
Correct.
a major paper trail when it comes to the government. Their systems are always slow, their systems are always down. So who's running their computer system? Because it's kind of antiquated. So I think we need to catch up in the United States with that. A lot of things people don't talk about, and I, know from being in the tech field, a lot of times city governments are held hostage by cybersecurity pirates. They don't tell us these things, but you can't even pay your bill, you can't pay your taxes, your water bills, or anything. They don't publicize this stuff, but it happens all the time. So it's like our government is behind on technology as well, but you're giving $100 million contracts to companies. It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's so interesting, because you would think it would be the other way around. You would think, because, our president was able to connect with Elon, and he's so good with those computers, Elon really knows those computers. You would think that we would have a country that, because of how advanced we are, we're actually very slow. We're actually very behind. But what's interesting about Actually, let me go to this next video before I start another conversation. I want to add another layer to this.
I seen that
And
Elon said to a federal judge that it is against his First Amendment right to not be able to discriminate against black people, but he was the same person talking about the people in Africa, South Africa discriminating against him, even though he was born there. This is why you can't trust people. You just said somebody was being racist against you, and now you trying to argue to a judge why you should be able to be damn racist. Do you hear how stupid that sound?
yeah, right. So, again, using laws, it's so interesting how people are so slippery, right? Slippery in the sense of like they'll use those things and reverse them for their benefit. I love what you said, Deborah, about being able to vote and knowing exactly what's on the bill. So for every voting season, what we do, my good girlfriends, we all get together and we use AI to know the pros and cons of each bill, of each thing that we're voting on, so we actually understand it, right? And we prompt it and ask questions, and it's like, what does this mean for Black people? What does this mean for this? What does this mean for me? What does it mean for women, right? So I just think that I love what you said about that, because it's a way that we can be informed. I think in a way that we hadn't had access before, because they'll confuse you. You be watching these videos and it's like, vote no on Prop 27, and they'll tell you a little piece of Prop 27, but on the flip side, you're right. We won't have access to, it'll take away our access to something else. Um Marlo, do you think that we talk a lot about AI widening the gap? And I know the answer to this question, but being that we are the fairness part of it is being taken out of the algorithm, do you think that will widen the gap even more? I mean, and I'm talking about the wealth gap.
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
It will absolutely widen the wealth gap because this is a way that many Black people, people of color, see AI as a way to really level the playing field. However, if it is being biased, I was having a conversation with a friend a couple of days ago about because she was saying, "Oh no, my AI knows I'm Black," and I was like, well, what if your AI is giving you feedback based on the fact that you're Black? Because your AI is not really your AI. Your AI is the same AI that everybody else is using. It's trained to learn who you are. So are you biasing your own AI by getting that personal, right? The great thing about the computer is it don't know who you are. Because we were talking about how we talk to our chats. And I was like, no, I keep it real formal. When I'm talking to my chat, I don't get relaxed with my chat. I'm asking we very specific over here. And that's
Oh.
how we got to that. And I'm like, are you training your chat to be a little bit biased against you? Right?
Yeah.
It feeds you back the information that you want, but there are data points that you may ask it to go and retrieve for you, or information that you may ask it to retrieve for you. Is it getting you the best information because it knows you're Black? I don't know. The jury's still out. But I think that all of these are things that we need to be asking ourselves. If we know for a fact that the people who are hiring and firing the people that are working on these tools at every level, if we know that they want the bias in there, they don't have an issue with the bias being baked into the platform, what will we do to make sure that that natural bias does not affect us? I think that's a good question that we should be asking ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting because I am one of those people. My chat's name, I got Chatisha and Claudette, right? Chatisha and Claudette. And actually I changed Chatisha to Chatina. And so sometimes she'd be like, and the way that she talks to me, it'd be like the AI is just mirroring you, right? So it's even like, yes, she teaches me how to do things around the house. Like I use AI for pretty much everything, but to actually like, yeah, like when my oven broke, I was like, girl, do you see what's in there? And took a picture, and she was like, yes, it's this, this, and that. and then so you need to replace the bulb. I was like, well, just teach me how to do it. She was like, girl, we need to call a technician, right? Like my AI was like, I was like, okay, just give me that number then. Like literally talking to it like it's my homegirl. And so I just think that's really interesting because she girls me and all the things, the way that I talk to her, she talks to me. So that's really interesting that you say. And then of course she knows I'm black, right? Because I'm Miss Black Hollywood. So she's like, girl, at being Miss Black Hollywood and being a storyteller and everything that I've told her, although sometimes this is a blessing, being able to put your life together in a way like knowing you so well that it's like, well, I need to create for business, I need to create better offers. Her knowing everything about me, it's like, well, I think this is how we can go do this and this is how we can do that, or whatever it's for strategy, for life, for all of the things. So tell me, am I the only one? Am I the only one in the room that uses chat in this
No,
way? Like, and
it's funny.
Claudette?
It's funny you said that because I needed to make a flyer for a fundraiser we were having, a karaoke fundraiser. Of course, I'm a part of a lot of Black associations and the Black groups. So I put in create a flyer for the Westchester Black Women's Political Caucus for karaoke night, fun and game night. Girl, they had rolling dice, cards. I said, what? Not the dice? Like, we're not playing CeeLo. We are not playing CeeLo, people. And these women are sophisticated. If I would have sent that flyer out, they would have been like, what? So right then and there told me, because I put black, oh, y'all like to roll dice. Immediately what I thought.
It was like
Oh, wow.
karaoke plus craps.
Exactly. Like, why could we not have had like checkers up there or chess? But that's what I'm telling you. And I just said karaoke, game and fun night. That's what they gave me.
I
And
was
I
about
went
to
back and was like,
shoot for
take those
crap.
They didn't
dice
even give
off
you
of
no
me
Uno
now.
card.
And cards. And cards. That's what. So
Because
somebody
black
has
people
already.
play spades and we shoot dice. Well, not all of us. I don't, and not me. I'm just saying. I mean, we do it. We do that though, right? But not
But
all of us.
somebody
And you're
programmed it. Somebody
correct.
programmed it to do that.
I think that's so interesting though. Even though I'm being funny when I'm like, but we do that though. But it is a part of it's important to talk to. I think the where you did the right thing though in responding. Sometimes I'm like, nah, that's not true. And why would you just say that? Are you just saying that because I'm black? And Chatina will say, no. I didn't mean it like that. You're right. We should not make blanket statements because when I'm putting these shows together, I'm fleshing out I'm fleshing out the conversations just to make sure we're hitting all the angles. And so sometimes it'll make blanket statements, and I'll call it on that, and they'll say, you know what? It like not apologize, but it's like you're absolutely right. That was a blanket statement, and we should absolutely not say that about all black people or whatever it is. But you absolutely have to have those conversations, I think, with the AI. But if we're not having conversations with the AI and we're keeping it formal and they can't learn nuance from black people, Marlo, and they're learning nuance from everyone else, how can we admit it? Like, how do we handle that? If you know,
Well, I'm me, right? But he and I just he is my assistant and he assists me with the things. Like we
what's
just
his name?
keep it
What's his
real.
name?
We keeping it real hierarchical over here.
What's his
I'm
name?
not.
He got a name?
His name is what his master calls him. He is Claude. I'm just still like Claude. Like just because he knows that I'm black, right? He understands that I'm black because in certain scenarios when I need him to put things together, that is fundamental. I'm coming up on the 10-year anniversary of a book, and he and I are fleshing out what I can do to promote it since I didn't promote it when it first came out. So he understands that I am black. He understands the walk that I've taken. But when I'm talking to him, I do keep it because I never want him to. Now he will be like, LOL, or, I know that's right. Like he'll say small little responses, but I never want him feeling like, what's the little singer dude name? Like he got blacker. I never want the AI to feel like he got blacker. You never was blacker.
Oh, Harlow.
Yes, I never want him to think he is in his Jack Harlow era, talking about he got blacker. No, you are computerized. You're a computerized mirror of me that is better. And that's fine, and that's the relationship that we have. I know I see a lot of people, and they think it's funny, but also I've seen like ask for images for certain things, and I have gotten back little ghetto-fied stuff, and I'm like, why you give me this? And he's like, oh, I thought it would be fun. Shut up and give me something else. Like, let me be more specific for you then.
Yeah.
But I think there's two ways, but I know it's enough people out there that are having fun having the computer talk back to them in AAVE that I don't have to do it.
Yeah. I get that. I get that. You know, it's interesting, and I wanna go into the video that I was gonna show before on like something I thought was interesting, or a perspective on something else that Elon has been working on. So let's go to that real quick because I want to get your thoughts on this.
Elon Musk is spreading a very specific kind of racism on the internet right now.
Elon started retweeting some of the most prominent race scientists, and there was like nothing. No one. Chuck Schumer met with him after that. He is like the sort of patient zero for a lot of stuff right now.
Elon seems to really like this account. They've gone by a few names on the platform, but they share extremely racist content that argues that black people are innately intellectually inferior beings. We actually settled this debate generations ago, but Elon Musk is helping to bring it back.
Meet Louis Agassiz, a Swiss-born American biologist who believed that the races developed separately and were of different origins. In his view, Negroes were of the, quote, lowest grade of humanity.
Look at this graph. It shows the follower growth of this account over time. And many of those peaks that you're seeing are the moments when Elon Musk engaged with them over the last few years. A simple response from Elon gives a fringe account like this one access to millions of users, drawing greater attention to these destructive ideas and earning this account tens of thousands of new followers. This page is part of a larger network of race science advocates on Twitter, people who use out of context IQ data and cherry-picked examples to make gross, sweeping statements about entire groups of people. And Elon Musk gobbles it up, pulling his audience of tens of millions of followers down the rabbit hole with him. And I'm not the only one who recognizes Elon's impact. They know that he's the best thing to happen to their racist ideas too, saying that he's done more to raise awareness for their cause than anything else.
People are not being convinced by the strength of the empirical argument. They're being convinced by the appearance of the empirical argument.
That's Will Stansel. He's an attorney, and he's been fighting against this army of bigots for months.
People are almost more susceptible to simpler, charts with like race and IQ than they are to the really complicated stuff. The simple stuff, they can look at a chart and there's a line, there's a line that says black Americans and says IQ 70, white Americans IQ 101.
Okay. I wanted to bring up eugenics, and I wanted to bring up Elon Musk, because I wanted to, this is not about Elon Musk, right? I just want to say that it's not about him, because decenter Elon Musk and racism for that part. But I just want us to all get a perspective of some of the things that, there's black people riding around in Teslas right now, right? Is supporting this person that thinks the worst of you. Now, if him and other people on the top, let's say like the owners of these big companies, these billionaires, share these same thoughts and views, I guess I want to kind of go in the direction of how do we move around this, Marlo? Like, how do we train, because it feels so far away from, it feels like nothing that a prompt can do, or you just like educating and keep adding these nuances, like this is who I am as a black person. Like, I just want to know how we move, knowing that there is a group of really wealthy people that believe these things and want to push more of these thoughts and agendas, right? So what do you think about that? What can black people do?
Be educated, right? I was watching a clip of Erica Badu, and they were talking about woke, and she was saying like they want woke to be like the new N word, right? So when she hears people being like, "Oh, we anti-wokeness," she hears that as anti-blackness, because black people have always had to be woke, stay woke, I'm woke, right? We've always had to be in that hyper vigilant state of protect your neck, always. There's never been a time in this country for us where we haven't had to. And I think we just continue that. I think that one thing that we always talk about on this show is supporting Black business. I think that we don't need to proclaim it. I think we need to do it. I think that we
Mhm.
need to seek out Black people who do things from the professional level to the service level as much as possible so that this does not affect us. I've had conversations with elders about the time of the Great Depression. And they're like, we didn't know nothing about no Great Depression because we always did it ourselves, right? While banks were crushed, Black Wall Street was thrived, right? It came up on the heels of the Great Depression. So I think that we really need to be focused on doing our own thing, using this AI tool as much as possible. If you're in spaces where you can have a voice, don't let them shut your voice up. Say something. You know that you working on this tech and it doesn't recognize your Black face. Say something. Why would you let it go to market knowing that they're going to market it to Black people? It's not like Black people find the product without marketing. It is marketed to us. Apple intentionally puts multicultural people in their advertisement. Why aren't you putting it into your R&D so that the facial recognition works properly? Like, I think that we just really have to look at how we spend our money, and we don't want to do that because we love the appearance of luxury. We love the one-upmanship of having something that's exclusive. We love getting on the list for that refrigerator truck that Tesla put out just to be able to say that we're on the list. And all of that's cool, but it's not serving any of us in the long run. And if you think about yourself as an individual, I don't know what to tell you because they not. They thinking of you as a monolith. Actually, they're
It's
thinking
blessing.
of you as a part of a whole group.
Yep. You know, I saw this stat. I'm gonna just feed stats slowly. But over 80% of the companies now use AI in some part of their hiring process. Deborah, if this is the case, and 80%, and we're finding that it's harder for more Black women to get jobs, especially with DEI efforts, coming to them basically dismantling DEI. I see the connection between all of these things with Black people not able to find jobs. When I go down the rabbit hole to produce this show, there are so many people struggling in a sense of Black people struggling, right? Americans struggling, yes, but if Americans are struggling, that means Black people are just on the brink of death, right? So I wonder, I just see the connection with all of this, us not being able to find jobs. I'm seeing women have breakdowns like, I just can't afford to live. Meanwhile, I'm seeing my friends like, go on vacations and all of that. Like, I'm seeing the gambit of all of this. So I guess my question for you is, there's a queen on our platform named Yolanda Spivey who, went undercover and became Bianca White, a white woman, right? And she was saying that before she did her experiment, she could not get a job offer at all. Once she put those same skills and put it on became a white woman with her resume, those people were offering, like, she had like, I don't know, hundreds of offers come in over the course of like 2 weeks, right? So I just think that's so interesting. So for Black people, I mean, I know it doesn't mean like now we can identify as white, right? We can be transracial, but how do we get around that? I guess is the question.
Our those of us that are in hiring positions, higher up positions, they have to help their community. You can't get in these spaces and just close the door because you're next. You have to go back and help the community, help the people in the community, bring them into those spaces. You cannot just shut the door. Look at what's happening. We don't want to hire our people. We say, oh, we have a quota. And nobody else following the quota. So if you are in a position of power where you can hire as many Black people, hire them. I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm saying it. If I ever got in office, everything is going to be Black. Blackity, black, black, blackity, black, black, black. And I might only do one term, but they're going to say, you know what? That's just to hide all Black people. I'm not going to worry about if I have enough white, Asians, Hispanics. I'm hiring all Black because they do it. They find jobs, they create jobs for their cultures. When people leave jobs in offices of other ethnicities, they have networking abilities, they have consulting companies, they got all kind of platforms. And when we leave high end positions, we're looking for another job. And it should not be that way. It should not. Another thing I wanted to say about Elon, even in his company, he's been sued a lot of times for racial slurs, racial disparities, and in the courts, like people will say, oh, yeah, he paid the money, but everybody has their own opinion. No, you they won. They won because they were wrong. You cannot discriminate against people. You
Mhm.
cannot. It's wrong.
Yeah. It makes me think about how, I mean, we talk about this all the time again on this here platform, like Marlo said, making sure, 2% of Black dollars that are spent, that $2 trillion that we have, our power spending, only 2% of that goes back into the Black community or Black businesses. Just imagine if I think me and Constance did the math, if we literally just took it up to 10%, you would put an extra $50 billion back into the community. Imagine what the Black community would be like if every year we were pumping $50 billion back into it. It would change everything. And I think they know that. And so, you know, um, I get really I'm really careful about being like they don't want they, because who is they, right? When I step outside my door, my neighbor is a nice neighbor, right? That is, are they part of they? Like, who is they? And so they, to me, is the system that has been set up and perpetuated by, so this takes me to this other stat. I want to kind of work through that. I'm just feeling this today. This whole, like, because I like the stats. And so Marlo, studies have shown that AI tools can favor certain demographics based on past data. And that's what I mean by they, right? It's like the past, the structures that, I mean, the past ain't been good to Black people. We talk about making America great again. um it ain't never been good for Black people. So them taking that information, like, how do we flush that? We can't flush the information. We can't flush the past data. So how do we get around that?
I'm sorry, give me that again.
Okay. All right.
Even though
I'm talking about the past data. So how do we get around past data, right? If the past
oh,
has not been good to Black people.
well, the only people that want to get around the past data are the perpetuators of the negativity of the past. Like those are the only people that don't want to look at what happened and figure out how to make sure that it does not happen, it does not persist, it comes to an end. It really, you know, it's hard to see discrimination,
Mhm.
especially if you're not the person that is experiencing it. And if you experience discrimination, most people do a self check before they say that was racist. Now, some people go straight for it, right? But most people do a self check and they're like, what did I do? Let me make sure everything I did was what I needed to do. And then I can go to what I believe is the obvious conclusion.
Mhm.
But the people that are the policymakers do not experience that. The people that make the work policies, the federal policies, the health, the health guidance for doctors and medical students, like none of those people, for the most part, experience any type of racial disparity, bigotry, bias, whatever.
Mhm.
So they have no reason to believe, right? I'm a good person. That's what people always say. I'm a good person. I'm not a racist. I'm not a bigot, because
Mhm.
they're seeing it as them. And if they're part of the system, then they're part of the problem. And I think that the people who are the gatekeepers and the space holders for this system don't want to believe that they're bad people. They're just doing what is best for their families, and so they don't want to examine it because it requires them to examine themselves and how they uphold in the system. So merry-go-round we go.
Yeah. Yeah. The AI market is expected to reach over $1 trillion in coming years. And so for me, when I read that, I think that because it is here to stay, it's not going away. I feel like Black people, we got to get in where we fit in. Because we're having this conversation and we're talking about how AI is being used against us, that doesn't mean throw your hands up and go, I'm not being a part of this, and run in the other direction. We gotta like, all hands need to be on deck. We need to figure out how to use it, how to make it work for ourselves, because it is $1 trillion industry. Like it just is. And so I just think it's important for us to know where we stand, though. We're having this conversation not about like having a conversation saying like, oh, you guys are racist, here's the racism again. Decenter racism, decenter Elon Musk, right? It's not about that. It's about like, okay, now that we got the game, now that we have knowledge, now what do we do with that? And how do we make it work in our in our favor? And so I just think that it's important that we embrace that. Nearly 60% of of Americans say they do not trust AI to make fair decisions, and AI is being used in banking, insurance, healthcare, and law enforcement. And we have seen it. I have seen stories that Black people have been kept out of every single healthcare. I mean, they talked about it earlier. The way black pain is being calculated on AI is not equivalent to white pain. It's crazy when you think about it. So I think we have to be mindful. We get on and we have these conversations because we want you all to be conscious. Like we want you to have be cautious of what's happening, and understand that it's happening around you. You know. So let's get ready because we got 5 minutes. So we got to get. I want to respect your time today. We could go on and on about AI and our need to really be a part of it and be on the train. Black people, a lot of times we be like behind on certain things, and I don't think this is one thing that we can afford to be behind on, or like just run and hide and say, I wish things were the way they used to be. Like I want things to stay like they were. We got to evolve with it, right? So we got to evolve, baby. We evolving. All right, let me get into some of these. Jasmine says, wholeheartedly agree, Miss Black Hollywood. This conversation is empowering us. I hope so, sis. That's exactly why we have these conversations every day. If it doesn't, then we got a problem. The Real Black Lexicon says, I can't repeat it because it's struggling to understand our blessings. Okay. All right. Certain computers can't measure the outcome yet. Okay. All right. Facts. Really search out businesses that support us. Okay. All right. B1, Grow to Wealthy Black Business School. Amen. 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 All right, Marlo, you got your you have our International Black Women. As you know, y'all, it is still April. It is International Women's his month, right? But we celebrating Black women internationally around here. Actually, I think we're just going to celebrate Black people for the rest of the year just because the sky's blue. I don't need nobody to be like celebrate Black people. I'm gonna do it anyway. You got that for me? You got that fact for me?
I got that fact. The fact today is about Dr. Timnit Gebru. I hope I pronounced her name correctly. A leading AI researcher who exposed bias in artificial intelligence systems, especially facial recognition. Her work showed how these systems were less accurate for darker skinned people, raising serious concerns about the fairness and accountability in tech. She represents what it looks like to change powerful systems and demand transparency. You go, sister.
Yes. And she's from Ethiopia.
Yes.
And
And
so we
Eritrea. Eritrea.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So shout out to her. Shout out to her, and shout out for Black people being a part of Black women, Black people being a part of this, being a part of the move, just not sitting down. We don't typically just sit down and just take whatever. So I don't ever want us to get the impression that we are weak. I think what we get a platform to express and say is happening. We don't get that as often, but it comes out usually like, oh, Black people invented this, or Black people created that, or you actually know a Black woman created that, and you're like, oh, that makes sense. So we're gonna go wind this thing down. If we can have a I want to thank you all first and foremost, everybody, for coming. Thank you for joining us, Queens. It's always a blessing to have these conversations with you. But let's have a brief final thought and tell us where we can find you and all of the good things that's happening in your life. I'll start with you, Marlo. What's happening?
So, my final thought is start having some black people meetings. Bring great minds together, figure out how y'all can work together, how we can get this AI systems. You need tech people, you need all sorts of people. Just start bringing great black minds together to talk about things that matter. Make sure that there is not a large barrier to entry. I know y'all like to make y'all pockets fat at these meetings, but sometimes we just gotta meet because it's for the good of everybody and it's gonna help the entire community. If you are looking for me, let me be your new best friend on Instagram. That's my handle right there. It is over Marlo. That is my name forward, backward, and a little underscore on the end.
Is it
Yeah,
backwards and forward? Is backwards and forward?
backwards, then forward, then a little
Backward
underscore
and
at
forward.
the end. I'm like,
Okay.
it's like what Oprah did, but with my cuter name than Oprah. Anyways, yeah, follow me on Instagram. I'm working on something very special. As I said before, I wrote a book 10 years ago, so I'm going to be doing a little video retrospective about that, what I learned, and how I can help other people. I realized after a very serious incident happened here where I live on yesterday, domestic violence is a huge, huge problem in many communities across the country. And I want to start speaking to young girls because usually domestic violence starts when you are young and it's something that you allow to persist and perpetuate throughout your life. And so I want to do what I can to put a little buttress, a little wall between the girls and the violence and the boys as well, because young boys also suffer domestic violence. So follow me.
Follow her. But also, is there a link where people can let me tell y'all. So Marlo was like, yeah, I got a book. And you know how, I write books for other people. I write books, right? And she was like, but she was like, I wrote a book and da 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 da. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna order a book. Right. So I order the book, I get it in the mail, and I'm like, perfect, because I am traveling. I traveled for 4 hours, 4.5 hours. Baby, by the time I read the book the entire time, I could not put it down until it was done. Let me just say that. And I've been talking to Marlo about making this a series for how many years now, Marlo? I was like, oh, we should make it a movie. And then I was like, we should make it a series. 50, we could take it to 50. Then we could take it to, I pitched it to, like, how long have I been telling you to make this a series, girl?
Long time, a long time.
Y'all, can we get is there a link somewhere we could buy it?
Oh, I don't have it. I don't have it readily available. It is if you
How
next
you
week.
know? I just thought about that. Like, why wouldn't you advertise this
I know.
book on here?
But because I had to make peace with it, so that's part of it. Because I was telling the story of the young girl, and it had never been told before, and then I
That's
moved
true.
away from it. So now I'm
That's
in a
true.
different place in my life, and I'm ready to share it without feeling judgment. Right? I've really moved away from the judgment of that time, and I'm fully healed from that time. So now I can do it. Hey.
Amen.
That's what
Amen.
Claude told me,
Amen.
y'all. Claude told me that. I don't really hate the AI. Claude told me that.
All right, all right. But I do. I love that book. It's called Stranger Than Fiction. And it was a really good read. Like, I'm a girl that loves to read, and it was good for me. Like, it felt real, it felt authentic, so if you all about that life, and I would suggest, Marlo, next time, bring your link and make sure that we have somewhere. Can
But
they
if you
just
follow
can
me
we
on
can we say
Instagram, the link is
Marlo?
in my bio. Follow me on Instagram, the link is in my bio.
Oh, it's in your bio. So can we just go Marlo Layson and Stranger Than Fiction, and then it'll pop up?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do that. Y'all, do that. Do that. I'm telling you, you won't be mad. All right, Deborah. I'm sorry it took me so long, sis. Where can people find you? What are your final thoughts?
Thank you, ladies, for a great, inspiring conversation today. I just want to say that AI is here to stay. It's in our media, it's everywhere we go, everywhere we will be. Let's embrace it in the Black community, and let's learn from it and let's benefit from it. In the words of Constance Carter, they done effed around and gave us the internet. So listen, we got to use it to the best of our ability and use it to tell our story. Let's paint a new picture of how we are the most amazing people on the planet. Let's
Mhm.
use it in that way because they're using it towards us in a derogatory way. Let's use it in a way that we paint a different picture of ourselves and let's change the narrative. You can find me, Debra E. Williams, here at Fly Nubian Money, having cultural conversations with you, and on YouTube as Deborah Will Win 11. Thank you, ladies. This has been great.
Amazing. I actually feel like you should add this technology to your title, Deborah, because you just be like, "This is Deborah." People don't know that you work in tech, and I think it's so important that they know. We can't just say Deborah, so we got to come up with. You got to tell me. You gonna give me a title the next time, so I can be like, "This is Deborah E. Will Win. This is Deborah E. Williams, who is our K." All right, all right, all right. And my final thoughts are this. You know, I just happen to think that we are such a brilliant people. I do this every single day because I love Black people. My name is Miss Black Hollywood because I feel like I wanted to lead with Blackness. I wanted to walk into a room and people understood what it was that I represented. So funny. I always had this conversation about me deciding whether I wanted to use the name as my moniker or not. And I was in a space with Oprah and I told her my name and she was like, "Why would you name yourself Miss Black Hollywood?" And I was like, "Because I want people to know, but I also want to work with different, I want to work with everybody." She was like, "Well, you won't work with everybody being Miss Black Hollywood. I'm gonna tell you that right now." And I thought it was so interesting because I just think it was interesting. So I love Black people in a real way. I fought for it literally. Me and Oprah went back and forth for quite some time. Like literally, Ava DuVernay had to come over. Like, "Okay, Oprah, listen. Okay, okay, okay. Listen. If you want to use Miss Black Hollywood, you use it. But we going. We leaving, right?" So, so I just love Black people for real. I think that we have power. I think that we don't use our power the way that we could and the way that we should. I think our power is in each other. I think our power is in supporting one another. I think our power is in all of those things. And I feel like we can overcome basically anything if we are together. If we are together and we are unified in thought and movement, it's very hard to do that in America. I think, it's very hard to, because that's just not the story that we receive about ourselves and who we are and what we do. So I just want to say here on Fly to Be Money that, if you can support a Black business, if you can support Black people, please do it. Please do it. Because I think ultimately that changes the narrative of who we are and what we do and how we move. If we could see each other as Black men and women and sisters and our brothers, then I feel like there would be less harm. I feel like I just feel like we just gotta come together. Before we can fight anybody else, we gotta address what's in our community. If you are looking for me, my name is Tierra Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood. I'm also known as Karma J. And so this weekend, actually, I am headed to Miami to have conversations with Dr. Renee. I will be at the Pow Her convention. You feel me? I'll be there teaching people how to tell their story. I feel like God gave us all a story. And if you don't know that 50 Cent just received $75 million from Hulu for a 3-part series to tell his story, the story that we have heard since 2000 for the last 26 years. We've been listening and hearing that he got shot 9 times, and somehow it he's it was in eight. It was 9 times, right? He got shot 9 times. Yeah, that's what I said. He got shot 9 times. Again, 9 times, y'all. We've heard this story since 2000, and somehow he still got $75 million for it. Come through. I want to teach you how to do the same thing. I can't promise you 75 million, but I can definitely promise you if you follow the script, you'll leave with something good. So that's where I'll be in Miami this weekend. Y'all, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Double A, I see you. Dennis Braggins, uh, Kaysen, hey, all y'all. Like, I love y'all. Armando, what's up? I just Mama Walterine, hey. Mama Walterine, I'm gonna see you in October. Um, will be there. I didn't get put in the wedding, but that's all right. I'm gonna be there. They're gonna play some of my music, so I got to come through. All right. Anybody else a Black Lexicon? Listen, I see all y'all. Arthur, what's up? All right. We just want to thank you all because as you know, it would be no us without you. If you didn't come here every day, then we really wouldn't have anybody to. What conversations would we have? So thank you for always being engaging. Thank you for always supporting us. Thank you for supporting the queens on this platform, and we are here for you. So we'll be back tomorrow. around the same time, doing the same things. If you want to know and receive notifications for when we go live, go ahead and text Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. If you cannot watch us, you can take us on a go with you because we are on Spotify. So just go on to Spotify, leave us a good review, and follow us that way. Whatever way, we here. We are here for you. So we appreciate you. We love you, and we will